Thank you for joining us on another episode of Real Voices. We have a great show with a great guest, my cohort, Marissa Guy, Platinum Home Warranty. Thanks for joining us, Marissa. Will you go ahead and tell us a little about your business and who you are, who you serve?
Okay, great. As you said, I'm Marissa. I'm Marissa Guy. I'm with Platinum Home Warranty, and as you know, since we work so closely together, I've been with them for about 6 years, and feel really happy and fortunate to be with them because it's a kind of gig that fits my personality. So. And I work, I have a dedicated territory that I serve, and that's pretty much my current role. My background, though, is I was a psychotherapist for about 20 years. And that's why I was saying that this gig fits my personality because, psychotherapists, you listen, you work, you just kind of, you're used to having a lot going on and being able to pay attention to it. So, and interacting with people. So this was a perfect switchover for me. So
Good transition, huh?
it was a great transition.
I always say, I think a lot when you're coming into this industry, you need to have some kind of something to draw upon to help you, get through it. So for sure, I'm intrigued by that, by why you left that, because to me that just seems so prestigious.
Let's see. Like I said, I did it for close to 20 years. I did it in different settings, and first I worked in a hospital base, and then I worked in an outpatient unit, and then I worked for a managed care company, and that's where most of my career was. About 17 of the years was with a managed care company. I loved it when I was doing direct care, working with clients, and I had a great time building programs and, like I said, working with clients and their families. And then I moved into management. And so that kind of removed me from the direct care that I love so much. But again, I was still then a program manager, and I was able to do a lot of fun things like that. They ended up closing the clinics that we were at, so I got moved into a call center, and I was the manager for a call center. And that did not fit my personality as much anymore. So we got to the point that I just said, it's time to move on. And so I did. I just kind of decided no more.
That's interesting. I didn't realize there's a call center type of environment for that.
Yeah, because it's a major medical insurance company, and people would call in and they would do basically an intake over the phone, find out what their needs are, and then we would help get them to the right provider to help them with their care. Well, I would manage the intake team, and then I also managed what was called the care managers. Okay. So they're the ones then that would determine what kind of, do we send them to the hospital? Do we send them to an inpatient program? Do we send them to an outpatient clinic? So that was kind of what I did there. And so
there's so many layers to medicine, things that you don't think about. So interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, tell me, you're in this business here. What's the most, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess misconception that
about
you
what
have
I
about
do?
what you do.
Okay.
Right?
So I'm in sales, which I love. Misconception is mainly about home warranties. Get it? They have a bad rap. They have, everyone thinks they're horrible. And so the issue for me is I know I'm walking into a situation where I need to be on the defensive a lot of times because I know that people are going to have all these attacking questions. But the misconception is, home warranties really are so beneficial for people, and they're so helpful. So, that's the main thing there. It's just like letting folks know that we really aren't bad guys. We're really here to help you, and home ownership is so expensive, and we want to help cut some of those costs to you. And so
I appreciate that. I when I first got my first home, it was the same thing. Like, why do I need that? Everything's new, and so yeah, I think there is a really big misconception about that. What's the purpose? So how do you navigate that? What do you do to navigate and get people to understand what the benefit is?
One way is I'll talk about my own personal experiences from when I've had a home warranty, and I still have one now, obviously. But talk about how it benefited me. And then also it's just to develop trust and relationships with people so that most of the time I'm perceived, I would say most because you can't always say always. Typically I'm perceived as being someone that's genuine and upfront, and I pretty much tell it how it is. So if it's not a good fit for them, I'll tell them it's not a good fit for you. If it, and if it is a good fit, so that's pretty much how I navigate it. It's just kind of, I guess, my personality and working with people and being genuine. Right. I don't want to put someone in something that doesn't fit them.
I appreciate that about you. I really do. So thank you. Well, you're not from Arizona. You're from back east, correct? Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about what was it like for you growing up?
Does my accent still come out?
You got a little bit of accent.
Okay. I'm a New York girl at heart, New York City. I was in New York, oh my goodness, for the majority of my life. And I came out to Arizona because my husband at the time was out here and decided to give it a whirl. I miss New York. There's a lot about New York I miss. I do love Arizona, but I miss the culture of New York. I miss the diversity of New York. I miss the energy and the excitement. And Arizona is a much slower pace, and I'm still in my kind of, as I'm talking fast too, but kind of the rambling quick pace there. So
that's an interesting thing about the culture aspect of it. I come from the South, Florida. And I left the South and pretty much went west. And for me, it was just white people everywhere for me. So coming to Arizona, I felt like there was a lot of culture here after leaving Utah and Oregon. So I feel that. So let's talk a little bit about that. What do you feel the difference between, I guess my perception is there's a little bit more culture here than where I've been compared to New York.
Well, when I talk about culture, I talk about it, the diversity as well as just cultural opportunities. So when I was growing up, Sundays were family days, and we always, as a family, did something different. We would go to a different ethnic restaurant. We would go to art shows. We had to do something that kind of broadened us, and I think there was so much opportunity there. As far as the diversity goes, I was raised in Manhattan, in New York, and we were just like, a melting pot, and I loved it. I just loved it, so that when I moved to Arizona, it wasn't as much of a melting pot anymore.
That makes sense. I can see the difference. It's just so interesting, when you're coming from, it's all about where you're coming from, mm-hmm. right? So yeah, I appreciate that. I want to talk a little bit more about that. When I think of New York, I just see all the tall buildings and feeling like I'm lost in all of the sea of people. Uh-huh. How do you feel about that growing up, and what was that like?
Well, I didn't live in the buildings part, but I love the energy, and I love the architecture, and I loved all the surroundings there. So that was not an issue for me. Okay, and lead me back into your question though. See, I got distracted.
Okay. No, so I was just thinking, for me, just seeing all of the, I think you feel like you're in a sea of buildings.
Okay, I can get me back. One thing about New York is, I truly believe that New Yorkers are very, you know where they stand. They're upfront and they're genuine, and I think that friendships and relationships were not different there. It's more transient in Arizona because most people aren't born here, mm-hmm. and they're coming from different places, and just relationships were a lot different back east. I think it's just when you get that relationship, it sticks. I mean, I still have friends that we're friends over 50. I'm dating myself here, but over 50 plus years.
Okay.
So.
Wow, that's rare for sure in our time. I think a lot of us move around so much that we tend to get lost. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty rare. And
in New York also, we lived in apartment building complexes, so it was like tons of kids at night. We would go out and we would be playing stickball, and it felt safe. And I know New York has a reputation that it's not safe, but it was. I mean, there would be tons of us in all different ages, little kids to teenagers, and so it was a great environment to grow up into.
That's cool. That's cool. I think we all kind of have that, man, my childhood, was just so wonderful. So I appreciate that. Tell me, when you're, growing up with all those kids, what did you think you were going to be? What did you inspire to be growing up?
Let's see. When I first got into school, I was going to be an accountant because I wanted to make a lot of money. After my first semester in college, one realized I'm not a number person, and that was really a bad move for me. But I've always, relationships have been very important to me, and sociology was always at my heart. So I always wanted to do something in the field of behavioral health sciences. So I started out in sociology because it's groups of people, and loved it, loved it, loved it. But it was kind of hard finding a job after after undergrad, just in sociology. So then I moved into the realm of psychology, and that was a good fit for me for years. Then I became, like as I said, I became a therapist, and I did what I wanted to do. I mean, I think I was meant to be a clinician for years, and now I'm in sales. Go figure.
It's the same thing, just a little different. You have to still figure out people's mind, their mindset, and things. So yeah. Well, when you mentioned that you've kind of always felt that way, when did you realize that? What made you realize that you felt you wanted to serve people that way?
I was always the good friend. I think that's probably what it was. I was always the good friend, and I was the one that people always came to if they had problems or if they had concerns. And I enjoyed being able to support people, not fix their world, but just being able to support them. So that just kind of always led myself into it. Again, also the culture and the diversity. Sociology speaks to that. Sociology speaks to city dynamics and truly looking at the world as it is. So that also fit me.
Right. Cool. Cool. Well, what would have been the most interesting way you've ever made money? What's the most interesting job or
I've had a
side
very
hustle?
diverse career path. I was an adjunct professor for a while at my undergrad, so that was kind of interesting. That was fun. I was the youngest person in the room because I was teaching night school, but that was cool. The most interesting, I guess, is that I sold hot dogs and beer at Shea Stadium at one of the stands. So that was that was pretty unique and different. I sold towels at flea markets for vendors. So I have a variety of things there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, just going, I love just kind of figuring out what makes you tick. Like, who inspired you as a kid? What was that?
My I know this is the canned answer, but my parents really did inspire me because they helped me become the person that I wanted to be. My dad was someone that always taught me, speak your mind, stick up for yourself, do it appropriately, but you have a voice. Don't go in the background. And then my mom was someone that was a very much a people person, a very inclusive person, that she always just looked for the good in people. They always taught me, honesty. At work, still people tease me. I'm the one with the moral compass, and they say, sales and moral compass, but that's me. And so they're the ones that inspired me.
I appreciate that. I don't think that's a canned answer. I'm just noticing that that's just the way it really is. That our families are really what leads us to who we're gonna be ultimately. And I don't think we don't get that until we get a little bit older and maybe have had our own kids. We start to realize what really was important, right? Yeah. So thank you. Is there anything you change, thought about in your life? Anything you redo?
I was thinking on that one, and what I would have done involves my own children. I would have played the games with them more. I would have, I'd come home from work and I'd be tired, and I spent time with my kids, and hopefully one of them will ever say they felt neglected and they always felt loved. But there were times they'd be like, Mom, come on, let's play Monopoly, and I didn't. So I think that's my biggest regret when I look back. What I would change, I would spend more time doing that, even if I'm tired. It doesn't make a difference because you can't capture that again later on.
Man, I appreciate that so much. We're kind of talking a little bit off camera about it, dealing with COVID and kids at home and all that. And I really just have them on me all day right now, unless I get out of the house. Like, I got to get out of the house. But it's for those little things too. And I try and remember, like, hey, maybe I just need to take these 2 or 3 minutes to whatever that. It won't last long. I just need to really focus on. So I appreciate you sharing that. Well, we like to talk about books. Did you have anything you like to
So
bring?
that was a hard one for me. When I was in grad school, I had to do so much reading. I mean, just so much reading. And then when I got into my profession, I also had to do so much reading. So I kind of boycotted reading and got into just reading fiction, Romance novels. Sorry, I'm one of those people that just read those romance novels. So I don't have a book to bring. But I kept on thinking about, has there been a book that inspired me or a phrase in a book that has? And there's one that always comes to mind. As I said, when I was a psychotherapist, my specialty was working with folks that had problems with substance abuse. And there was a book called Getting Them Sober. And there is a line in that book that has stayed with me for almost 30 years. And it says, cracked vases last longer. So to me, what that means is we're always looking for perfection, and we're always like trying to maybe spending more attention to things that are perfect. Whereas people that have imperfections, if they nurture it and they take care of it, they're the ones that come out shining. They're the ones that are genuine. They're the ones that are going to last. So for me, it's always been about them nurturing people, looking at how to nurture you. Like, we all have cracks. Anyone to say we don't, they're not being upfront. So that's what stuck with me always. That was that book.
Wow, I like that. Yeah, we're all imperfect.
We are.
Right.
And if we recognize it and we accept it, then we're able to take care of ourselves. And the more we take care of ourselves, the more we have to give to others. So
I appreciate that. I know you and I were trying to get something started with a little book club and all that. Wanted to do those, so I still would like to.
I know, but that's even embarrassing, because the first book that we were going to do was, what was it called? Eat That Frog. Yeah. And the book is about procrastination, and I got through half a page. And it still is sitting on my coffee table, and I still haven't read it. So it's kind of ironic.
I got into it a little bit, and I ended up putting it down because I kind of implemented a few of the things, so I was trying to work through it. I think it's a good little book, but
it is.
I think we should try and figure that out and
I agree.
Maybe do this. So. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. It was great chatting with you. Just want to leave you with anything you'd like to say. How can the people find you?
So this is my little sales pitch here. So I am with, as I said, Platinum Home Warranty. And if you have any questions, or if you have any warranty needs, I'm there to help you out. And you can reach me by calling me at 602-818-8198. Or you can just call Platinum at 602-723-5000. So that's pretty much it. But we're here to help you out with home ownership.
Well, I appreciate you coming on there. And again, I really want to get that book thing going. So
okay.
Let's figure it out.
Okay, well, one of us has to stop procrastinating.
Yes, maybe both of us.
Okay.
It's all good.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.